Hey, yeah. All right, thank you all for showing up to Art This, episode number 17. So thank you, studio audience, for trudging out today in this fine October weather.
We do appreciate it. You're here in the presence of the show that's all about the work that makes art work. And that's Art This.
That's
I'm
right.
John Modap. That's Stephen Middleton. We've got a fabulous crew of students behind the scenes here. We've got an action-packed
We do. It's a big one. Back on the program, almost 1 year after their debut here on the program, we have the Sisters. And look at this.
We're ready.
It's going to be some noise.
The Sisters. And we'll hear about how their lives have
right.
changed since they were last on Art
John, how
This.
about you? You got a nice feature here
Yes,
today.
we do. In fact, it's coming up. I'm going to get my notes, so I don't even need them. I know this guy. We are featuring this week Dr. Paul Taylor, who's an associate professor of music at Morehead State. He's been working here for about 20 years, teaching class piano, piano ensemble, and all kinds of different programs involving 2 pairs, 10 pairs, 12 pairs of hands playing Beethoven all at the same time. An extraordinarily talented teacher, but also a composer. And so he'll talk to us about his compositions, and he'll play an original work that he devoted to Frédéric Chopin called the Fred Jam. So let's visit with Dr. Paul Taylor.
Jam.
It's almost like you don't have time for it, but it's something I have to do, I think, and my children do it. So it's also a bond. We can all talk about the latest software. We can talk about problems we might be having with how to get a special effect, like maybe you want an effect of emptiness and desolation. We talk about things like that. And I think that it helps me in a psychological sense as well, because it's kind of like if once I write something about an issue in my life or a thing or something, somehow it's like catharsis, and it ceases to bother me. It's kind of like an all-encompassing drug without drugs. So it's like it takes your mind exactly away from anything that bugs you. Some people play basketball, some people work on cars, play golf, go to church. Some people are always in church all the time. This is just where I go. And it can be very ecstatic and euphoric because you're in your own world, creating your own purposes and goals and objectives. And when the music reflects what you want, that's the payoff. I'd rather have that happen than make all the money in the world, really. It's like, but it doesn't happen that much.
Right. How do you know when it's happening?
You know, and your heart starts beating fast. You get sweat starts coming out of you, and you just get that, like, I did it. It's like, I did it. You have a blueprint. For instance, if I'm trying to write something about unreturned love or something, I might go to the Verdi's operas or maybe a Beethoven string quartet and see how he achieved this temperament. just to get ideas, because it doesn't matter what you do, it's your idea of what the subject or issue is, your own personal idea, not anybody else's, just yours. And that's the only thing that works for me. I think the composition part is formulating an idea, like it could be Revenge is Sweet, or Shut Up, Nobody'll Notice, or any title from Ogden Nash, you know, anything. And that can serve as the idea of composition, and then when you write, you stay true to your original intent. And if it does go somewhere else, I guess that's an added bonus. But when I studied with Mr. Stravinsky at University of Illinois, he'd always say, don't let yourself take those side roads. Stay where you are. Don't go to another issue, because you could just extend it till it's incomprehensible. It's just better for everybody, myself, for the audience. Just stick to what you started with, and if something else comes of it, fine, you got material for something else, but it's better to finish something and remain true to the concept.
All right, welcome back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, about 1 calendar year ago, we were joined by this great band that's behind me called the Sisters. We have asked them back to the program one more time. I'm excited to chat with them a little more later, but I think it's time for some rock and roll. You guys ready?
Ready.
Take it away.
A mason jar, your splintered mind's too young to scar. Your hedge is quite nicely trimmed, no room in your heart for me to lean in. I don't wanna make you feel like you're in a bad spot, so I'll suck it in and up and I'll fly right over. Don't wanna make you feel like you're wrong when you're not, so until it's brown. Emily's a rose, laid the old man down. I waste myself on the people around me. Eyes hurt, they little guilty sound. I don't wanna make you feel like you're in a bad spot, so I'll suck it in and up and I'll fly right over. Don't wanna make you feel like you're wrong when you're not. make you feel like you're in a bad spot. So suck it in and up and I'll fly right over. Gonna make you feel like you're wrong when you're not. So I try hard to keep my turtleneck clean. Got a dog that's blue, he'll bite and scream. The people who raised you gave you lessons for free. They love you for it, they keep you green. But they don't make you happy. Gonna make you feel like you're in a bad spot. So I suck it in and up and I'll fly right over. Gonna make you feel like you're wrong when you're not.
All right, folks, welcome back to Art This. We are joined live here, and I must say I'm still ringing a little bit with the sisters. Thank you for coming back on the show. Your second time on Art This.
Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.
And once again, this is Arlo Barnett, Ian Gordon, and
Zoe Barrett.
with interesting earrings, folks. Make sure to get a shot of those in the camera. I like the invention of that. It's very nice.
Where'd you get those?
Area Plumbing Supply.
We focus on artists and artistry. There we go, right there. Well, folks, what was the name of that first tune you played for the good people here?
That was one I wrote called Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah. There's no particular reason it's called Jonathan.
Okay.
We thought it was a funny name at the time. I apologize to the Jonathans inevitably watching. Yeah, it just seemed like a silly name.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It shows us how weird we are. My name's Arlo, so I can't really talk.
Well, people remember your name, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me about, we want to get to the bottom of how you wrote that tune and how the band kind of works together. So who wrote Jonathan?
That was mostly me. Sometimes there's a collaboration involved, like Ian and I are the main songwriters, and one of us will bring an idea to the table, and we'll kind of create a song between us just while trying to work it up and practice it. But Jonathan was one that I wrote on an acoustic guitar, wandering around in my backyard.
Okay, that's a great place to write songs. For your other songs, do you all individually write, then perform them as a group, and then write them as a group, the music? How does that go?
For the most part, yeah. But there's a few of our songs, like Arlo will come up with the primary idea, say in Jonathan, and then you just heard it. In the middle, there's this big breakdown. And we kind of came up with that idea as a band all together. You know, Arlo sort of came up with, there should be a big slow part. And we all worked it out like, okay, we'll stop, we'll come in. And so we sort of write them and then modify them together. It's sort of modification rather than a creation.
So the songs you write, do you prefer to perform the lyrics? And then songs that say Ian or Zoe writes?
Yeah. Usually whoever wrote the song plays guitar and sings, and me and Ian just pop out back and forth on drums. For the next songs that we'll be playing, then I'll be on drums and Ian will sing a couple of his.
Good, all right. So where can people find out more about you all? You have the Facebook page still?
Got the Facebook page, and then we've got thesisters.bandcamp.com.
Oh.
On there, currently. Maybe by the time this makes it on the air, we'll have fixed this.
Okay.
But right now, all that's there is a bunch of real old recordings. They're, they're nice as artifacts, and you might enjoy them. But we don't play that stuff anymore, and we will be recording some more stuff soon, like Ian said. Hopefully within the next couple months, by Christmas.
What's the next tune you're going to play for us?
The next tune we're going to play is a new one that Ian wrote called Stephen Middleton.
You know what? That has a familiar ring to it.
I don't know.
You know, I hear there's a guy in this community who's often arrested under that name.
You know, I've heard the same thing.
This one's bow tie specific.
I don't know. Odd. Who knows? Who would know? Well, I'm excited to hear this tune. We'll be right back right after this. We'll be back with a little bit more of the sisters right after this, folks.
Baby's got a fucking knife. Baby's got to learn to fight, but it's only for tonight. I can't let everything be alright. But don't worry, it's just a rumor coming down with no hurry. You can barely touch the Can't see everybody knows. Coming through the gates and someone else's clothes. And they emulate your photos. I guess that's just the way it goes. But don't worry, it's just a rumor coming down with no hurry. We can barely touch the But don't worry, it's just a rumor coming down with no hurry. Your feet can barely touch the
All right, how about that? They're clapping for us.
Yeah, hey.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, you folks at home. The Sisters, how about it?
Yeah, I like them.
That's an earful.
They are, for sure.
Yes, outstanding, and we thank them so much for coming. Well, we're not done yet. We're
Nope.
almost done with Art This 17, but we have a special feature. We do. Mr. Middleton is a documentary producer, and he has been working on the second edition of a piece he's doing called Commonwealth Curiosities, and we're going to see a little bit of that today. Tell
We
us about it.
are. You know, after the success of the first Commonwealth Curiosities, went back out and hit the road with a crew that has warrants in 4 southern states, not northern. And we found 10 more curiosities to feature, and thought appropriate here on this October Halloween edition to show a piece we did on the Eastern Kentucky Museum of Mysteries, which is a stone's throw in Van Lear, Kentucky, from the Coal Mining Museum and Loretta Lynn Museum. But this seemed a bit more, this seemed a bit more appropriate. We talked to a young man by the name of David Harrington, owner, operator, proprietor, and ghost hunter for hire, folks. If you have some, I don't know, issues with poltergeists or ectoplasm, call David, and he would try to sort it out for you. But interesting fella. I highly recommend going out to the East Kentucky Museum of Mysteries in Van Lear. Let's take a look at David Harrington.
All right.
I've had people that come in that seem to be somewhat revolted by some of the things here. I've had people come in that think this is the greatest place ever. It's almost like an amusement park to them. I've had people that come in and they leave with almost a sense of wonder, having learned more about these things. It's almost like finding out that the monster under the bed isn't quite as scary as you thought. I think it's a dying art, and I do consider the roadside attraction to be a form of art. And the privately owned little roadside attractions are unfortunately going the way of the buffalo. And I'm trying to keep this alive as long as possible. I know that you see a lot of places like this further south in Louisiana and places like that, but this is the only place I know of around here that's a little roadside attraction people can just stop and enjoy. David Harrington, proprietor of the East Kentucky Museum of Mysteries. I started out years ago collecting the strange and unusual. Most of the artifacts you see around you here in the museum I've had for years before I even opened the museum. And at one point I said to myself, why not share it with the world? I've always been a bit strange and unusual myself. Even as a kid, I collected the strange and unusual. I was interested in ghosts, lake monsters, the paranormal, and my love of the strange and unusual grew as I did until I had amassed a collection that's worthy of a museum. I'm actually a paranormal investigator. It's more of a family practice at the moment. I'm looking to expand and have a larger, more scientific group later on. We've done several paranormal investigations on local battlefields, and I do investigate houses for people who've had problems with the paranormal. Yes, I'm the man to consult when it comes to the paranormal in Van Lear. I know every haunted house in the area, I know every haunted battlefield in the area, and I'm more than happy to give anyone the information they want. I've had people from out of state actually come all the way here just to see the place because they read about it on the internet, because they heard about it in newspapers, etc., word of mouth. I also have a steady influx of tourists coming into the area to visit other local attractions such as Loretta Lynn's home place, the Coal Miners Museum, state parks in the area, that sort of thing, and they hear about the place and they stop in. Well, there's a wide variety of the strange and unusual. I have everything from embalming equipment to Egyptian artifacts, Civil War artifacts. I have a display on zombies for all of the zombie fans out there, scalping knives, and a Fiji mermaid. Usually it's tourists that happen by, like I said, people coming in to see other attractions, your errant wanderers that happen upon the place and come in. The neighborhood kids love it though. I think a lot of the towns in Kentucky, especially in Appalachia, are actually shrinking and becoming ghost towns. So who's to say what the future's going to hold? 20 years from now, this may be the same as one of the Old West ghost towns. I usually close a week after Halloween, and I open on April Fool's Day. I'm open all spring, all summer, and all fall. I'm a bit of a night owl, so I only open at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually open until 8 o'clock or when I extinguish lights for the night. Just look me up on Facebook, and you can get on Facebook, look up the place, and make reservations to come in, have private tours. I'm willing to work with anybody.
David Harrington, East Kentucky Museum of Mystery.
Yes, and if you get a chance, get out there to Van Leer right around Halloween would be a good time to go.
It would be a perfect time.
Although I don't know if I'd want a private tour. Let's do the public tour. How
He
about
told me
that?
you can lie in the coffin if you want, so.
Excellent. All right, I don't want to rush that.
Yeah.
I'm close enough to that already. Why rush it? Well, the Museum of Mystery, the Sisters, Dr. Paul Taylor, we have had an action-packed show,
Action-packed
haven't
show.
we? And a fabulous audience. Thank you so much
thank
for
you all.
coming. We appreciate it. Well, we ought to get out of here, huh?
We should.
Let's do it.
That's right.
All right. 1, 2, 3.